you guys, I don't like calling you 13th grade. I think that's weird. So I'll just continue to refer you guys as cohort 1. But you guys know everything you need to know about college, right? You're experts now. I hope so after 3 years. It's good to see you all. It really is. So let's just get right to it, all right? And then we'll leave this open for questions that you guys can ask. So here's the deal. We want to get you back to campus. We obviously want you to do it in a safe manner. So we're going to be kind of covering today just some of the procedures and things that are in place that OCC has done to make sure that everything is going to be safe and ready to roll for you guys when you start going to class. So if you want to go ahead, if you do have a question, you want to throw it in the chat room, you can do so. If not, just wait a second and we'll get to some questions here at the end of our quick presentation, okay? So here's the deal. Let me just walk through some of the things that OCC has done to make sure that the students are going to have a safe experience this year. Number one, they're cleaning the heck out of all the classrooms that you're going to be in. So there's going to be daily disinfecting and cleaning episodes going on to make sure any classroom that you are in is clean and appropriate for in-person learning to happen. Also, one of the things that they've done is they've cut down on the number of students in the class. So if you are normally would have, sometimes 15, 20 kids in a classroom, that will not be the case. The numbers are going to be much shorter or smaller this year in order to sort of meet some of the requirements that the state has put in, as well as honestly, to ensure that you guys have some safe experiences. More importantly, though, I think you guys will benefit from having smaller numbers. It's always beneficial to have smaller numbers in a classroom. You can get some more one-on-one time with your professor. So I think that'll work out for you nicely. So here's the deal. OCC has basically come up with 3 sort of methods of learning that are going to happen this year. One is referred to as high flex. All right, high flex is the first version. For those of you who are familiar with the word hybrid, it's sort of their version of hybrid. And what it's going to be is that it's going to be a combination of in-person classes and remote classes. So if you typically have a class that maybe meets on Tuesday, Thursday, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday situation, or a Monday, Wednesday situation, whatever it is, the professor is going to break that session into a in-person requirement. So you're required to be there in person, and that would typically, for most of you, that's going to be when you're doing your lab situations, right? They want you to get into the lab and have some hands-on stuff. And then anytime that there's a lecture, something where you would not technically need to be in person, they're going to put that on remote, so you don't have to, be in person for such situations. So you'll have an experience that is lecture-based, obviously, that is remote, and then a in-person lab experience as well. They refer to that as high flex. The other 2 versions would be a complete remote class where there is live teachers teaching over Zoom or something of that sort, where you would attend during that period of time that you're required to be there, and you would just get your teacher interaction, professor interaction live through that. So that is
Are you sharing a screen or not sharing a screen?
I am wanting to share a screen, but based on your stopping me in my middle, how rude of you, I'm going to assume that I am not sharing a screen. So yeah, there you go. So the other version would be, so that's remote. The other version would be online. So if you guys have taken a typical online course, it's going to be strictly, the content is going to be accessed online through your Blackboard. You will not have live, technically, interaction with your professor, although you will be able to reach out to your professor. Email. I'm sure your professor will have office hours that you could, reach out to them as well. So the difference being, once again, remote is a live session during a period of time which you're expected to be there. And then the online version would be more of sort of just, once again, you accessing Blackboard, moving through the course at a certain speed, and then reaching out to your professor when needed. So the other thing that I wanted to mention here, a couple of little changes as well, is that you guys who do have in-person teaching in some capacity, which is going to be in that high flex situation, that'll continue to happen in that in-person capacity all the way through Thanksgiving break. Once Thanksgiving break happens, and you return to school, you will not be going to OCC at that point. All in-person classes will then go remote for the remainder of the year. And that's because everybody's going to go home for Thanksgiving, and they obviously don't want students wherever they're going to pick up something and then come back and bring it back to OCC. So what they're going to do is after Thanksgiving break, everything will go remote to the end of the fall semester, which is December 12th is your last day of classes. So once again, if you have in-person teaching in some capacity, follow that all the way through Thanksgiving break. I think November 24th is the day that pops out at me as the last day of in-person instruction that is allowed on campus. You head to Thanksgiving, then when Thanksgiving is over, everything that was scheduled originally for in-person will then be remote for the remainder of the year, okay? And that will go through the end of December 12th. Any student who arrives on campus, whether it be on a bus, provided by district transportation or by your own self, meaning you're driving, is going to undergo screening before you're allowed to set foot on campus. What I mean is that they basically narrowed all the entrances at OCC to one now. There's one entrance going into OCC, and when you drive into OCC, every single time you do so, you are going to get screened by their safety personnel. Screening just consists of taking your temperature through one of those head sort of imaging situation. That sounds really kind of scientific, but really it's just they take a quick temperature through your forehead. As long as you pass that requirement that you're not showing a fever, you would be permitted then to answer some questions just about, have you ever been exposed to anybody? Are you feeling any symptoms? Things like that. They'll give you some questions. And then once you have been approved to enter campus, they're going to give you a wristband, a colored wristband that you will be required to wear. Mara Metzgar here just showed it to you. Once again, show that wonderful wristband off one more time. You will get a colored wristband for the particular day that it is. So Monday it might be yellow or green or whatever that is. Tuesday it might be blue, Wednesday it might be orange, etc. You will be required to wear that wristband for the day. That means that if anybody sees you on campus without a wristband, either you somehow snuck in or they're going to be asking you, where's your wristband, to make sure that you have properly gone through screening. For those of you who are riding a bus, in order to avoid the bus coming all the way down and then having to go through screening, your screening will happen before you get on your school bus. So if you usually get picked up at Phoenix or Mexico or Fulton or whatever, the bus driver is going to do screening before you're set foot on that bus. That way, if for some reason you did not pass screening, we would not have you go all the way down to OCC to figure that out. You would be obviously not permitted to be on the bus at that point, and then be required, obviously to go home. And then wait for further instructions, from PTECH here about what the next steps would be. If you, for some reason, did not get access to campus, or you did, we're not, for some reason, we're not allowed to be on campus, Ms. Metzgar will tell you, and I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but she'll tell you that, OCC is going to work with you guys on making sure that you can continue with your instruction, okay? Nobody wants to penalize anybody because they're not permitted to be on campus because of, symptoms that could be related to COVID or symptoms that could be not related to COVID. But we live in a world right now where we have to be obviously pretty cautious about any symptoms that anybody shows. So, they'll work with you in that situation. So don't get too, don't get too anxious over that. If, you were for some reason, denied entry and stuff like that. Just like anything else, we're going to ask that you guys make sure you communicate. Let Ms. Louise know, let Ms. Metzgar know, let your professor, that's going to be important, know, say, hey, I was not permitted to be on campus. What can I do to keep up with the class here on the day that I missed? Masks, or shall I say face coverings is the appropriate term that they're using now. Face coverings are required on campus at all times. That means that you will be expected to wear a face covering. It's like if you are in a store or any other place and required to wear face coverings, you will be required to wear a face covering. Your professor, obviously, there might be situations where your professor says, for this certain activity, you guys are, in social distancing situations, your professor may give you that permission, but if they don't give you that permission and you don't hear that it's okay, it's going to be really important that you continue to follow to wear face coverings at all times, because that's the expectation of the college. And I'll just tell you straight up, if you're not wearing a face covering, you know, you'll be asked to wear one, and if you continue to not wear one, obviously, or put up a fight over it for some reason, you know, they have the right to ask you to leave campus. So just kind of be aware of that and expect that to happen here, to make sure you're wearing face coverings as you walk through campus. We will have face coverings. OCC provides face coverings for all their students, so there will be some available in Ms. Metzgar's office, obviously. So if you forget something or anything like that, you know, you will be provided one. Same thing for those going on the school bus. The school bus is going to have extra face coverings as well. So if you forget one, you can always use one of the face coverings. Just making sure there's nothing else I forgot. Ms. Metzgar, is there anything else related to OCC that you want to bring up that I might have missed here?
No, you covered it really well, but I do want to mention, just to be clear, even though, or especially because this semester is like no other, please, when you get to campus, guys, check in with me one at a time, you know, in Whitney 112. I'll have 2 face masks to give each of you, and generally, I just want to say hi. It's been a long time since I've seen you, and make sure everything's running smoothly. That's all.
All right, so one of the things is that, you know, you're on campus. What are going to be some of the differences, things that you're going to see? Obviously, just like if you go into a store today, there's certain exits, there's certain entrances that are going to be required. Note that that'll be the case. You know, you'll be required to use certain doors when you go into certain buildings, and you'll be asked to leave certain doors. Just make sure you're following through with those. The other thing is that there'll be certain places that have been restricted in terms of to prevent gatherings. So I'm sorry to tell you that the Laser Lounge, from what I understand, has been put on a temporary closure to make sure that students are not gathering in large areas. I know, shed your tear right now. All right, shed it, go ahead. Murphy, I'm watching you. I can see that tear. All right, no more Laser Lounge for you, buddy. Yeah. But the other location is the cafeteria, for example. You will be able to get food. They are not, though, allowing you to sort of sit in the cafeteria in those large sort of situations. While the weather is good, and luckily, you know, we begin this first semester in doing this with good weather for at least a little while. You know, find some open space, you know, practice that 6-foot distancing with your friends if you sit down and have lunch. Make sure you're not on top of each other here, sharing chocolate milk, right? Be smart. So the other thing is that, so what will happen is when you go in for the lunchroom, you'll just basically pay and you'll get like a boxed lunch, and then you'll be following an exit to leave that building to find some open areas that are around campus. But yesterday, some questions came up like, is the library still open? Yes, and some of those student areas for resources, you know, places that provide study areas, quiet study areas and things like that, those will be available as well for you. For those of you guys, and most of you this is, we're going to be having late classes going out to a pickup at, you know, where they end at, you know, I think the latest class ends at 5:50. You know, the campus stays open that late, right? So, you know what I mean? You're going to find that the buildings are still accessible. For those of you that are you know, may start classes at 2 o'clock or something like that, and then go to 6 o'clock. So you'll still have access in that situation. Let me just remind you, if you haven't known, communication is key. So just keep aware that you're going to want to pay attention to OCC with everything, guys, and you should know this by now. This is a fluid situation. Every day, we hear new information, we hear new quotes, and we hear statements that suggest maybe things are changing or things, but just be aware. Follow OCC, check your email on a regular basis. If you go to the OCC website, which I'm going to have Ms. Marie show you something really quickly here anyways about WebAdvisor, you'll see that there's information on there that is updated by the president and by the communication office. So stay adrift of all that to make sure you guys are following along with what's happening here. And obviously social media is also a great way. If you use social media, you know, make sure you friend or follow or check in with SUNY OCC's social media accounts, because they'll have updates as we move right along there. Transportation, once again, as I mentioned about screening, that will be happening for those students using the bus. Screening will happen prior to getting on the bus. Wristbands, once again, will be given out to students either when they arrive on campus on their own transportation after undergoing screening, or you will receive those. For those of you using the bus, you'll receive those wristbands on the bus. That way we make it pretty efficient for you to get into campus without having to wait in line and stuff like that. So, and remember that students are permitted to drive to campus. If for any of you, we've already done our survey and gone through and double checked to make sure that everybody that we are aware of is driving. If that has changed in any way, whether you are no longer driving and now you need transportation for the bus, or if you have informed us that you are using the bus, and then for some reason, I know some of you were waiting to get your driver's license, and I hear that the 5-hour courses now have gone through, so some of you are, waiting for that stuff to happen. If you change from one format to the other, you really need to let me know, all right? Because we need to let your transportation office know, and because you are technically still, you've met your graduation requirements, but you don't have your diploma because you're still fit underneath the school. We need to make sure your superintendent also is just aware that you're going to be driving. So please, if anything changes, some of you who are driving, all of a sudden we hit that first winter storm and you're like, nope, no longer comfortable driving down, especially if it's 6 o'clock and I'm driving home and it's dark out. You got to let us know so we can make sure that transportation arrangements are put in place for you guys as we make our way through that. And just a quick note about transportation, all the transportation offices are aware of those students who do need bus transportation. They are aware, they have the rosters. So we will be obviously communicating to you once all those plans are finalized about pickups and everything like that. But, we're moving forward on transportation, and we once again appreciate everything that districts do to make sure that they meet the accommodations of our students, because our PTECH students matter, and we appreciate that. Just a reminder for those of you who are driving down as well, Mara, just a reminder, do they have to do anything with the registration for their vehicles or anything like that for those students that are driving to campus?
So yeah, the same desk where you get your laser ID, you get your parking pass. And you have to go fill out a little half slip of paper, and they'll give you a sticker that you might forget to ever put on your window, and it doesn't seem to matter very much. You can park in the SRC lot, the main one there, or there's several others with no gates. And anyone who's not coming on the bus, I'm giving you fair warning. Please arrive at least 5 minutes earlier than you thought you should, because if there's a backup at the screening station, you can't be late to class for that. Different times of day has a different traffic flow, so you'll figure that out pretty early on. That would be the major thing. Just, they're not real picky about parking. You should get a parking pass, but get there earlier than on time.
All right, great. Just one more slide and then we'll open it up for questions, guys. Schedules, OCC courses are now available on Web Advisor. So when you go on Web Advisor, which Ms. Ruiz, do you want to take over and just show them a couple of things here on Web Advisor? We hope at this point you know how to access Web Advisor. But I want to show you that when you access your courses, you'll see on there information that tells you whether that course is a hybrid, or excuse me, a high flex course, a remote course, or an online course. So let's just show you quickly what that looks like so you guys know what we're talking about. Louise, do you want to go ahead?
All right, I need you to enable me to share. All right. So I'm hoping that by year 3 that you guys have been doing this, you should all know how to do this. I'm not actually going to log in, but I'm going to show you guys how to get to the place that you need to go to. If you go to Google, you type in SUNY OCC, taking the long route there. You should save this as one of your bookmarks. I am a current student. On the left side, you're all familiar with Office 365 for your emails, Blackboard, and then Web Advisor. This is where you guys go at the end of the semester to check in your grades. You click on Login. This is the same username, first initial period, middle initial period, last name, followed by some numbers for some of you guys, and the password. It's the same username and password that you guys use for both Blackboard and Office 365, your email. It might make you it might ask you to change your passwords, because I know from my experience, some cohort 1 or cohort 2 students that logged in over the summer had to change their password. So don't forget to do that. And once you change your password on this one, it automatically makes it the same password for Office 365 and Blackboard. It'll take you to a new screen once you log in and under the right-hand side, under academic profile, you click on class schedule. It will be open to fall 2020, and you can click on a specific class. It'll tell you the class, whether it's HighFlex, remote, or just online, and that's how you'll know. But you should all know how to do that.
All right, so when you look at it, once again, if it says HighFlex next to the name of the course, all right, obviously you know what you're looking at there. If you have any trouble with that, obviously just reach out to one of us and say, Heffron, I don't see where it says HighFlex, or I don't see any remote, all right, or Ms. Ruiz, and she can go on and figure it out and help you guys out if you have any trouble with that, okay? At this point, I'm going to open it up unless Mr. Lupa, unless Ms. Ruiz, unless Ms. Metzgar have any additional information. Let's open it up and just answer any questions that might come up. And then we'll let you guys go, okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know we are going to be planning on book distribution. So OCC book distribution is going to be scheduled for next Thursday. It'll be the 27th. And we will be emailing out a schedule for when we'll be at your home district, so you can swing by and pick up your college textbooks. Along with those college textbooks, we did have planners made up for you all this year. So you get one of these. And really key in on that syllabus as soon as you get logged in. Monday, the 24th, is going to be the first date for you to be able to log into Blackboard and start seeing your actual classes. So we will anticipate your professors will start putting up documentation, whether it's initial readings or just understanding sort of the content and structure of what that course is going to look like, so that you can kind of get a good start on it at that point. And then really go through that syllabus line by line. I would encourage you to print it off at the library when you get over to campus. Have a hard copy so that you can move right through that syllabus and document in your agenda, your planner, work on your time management to make sure you're not missing any assignments now that you're really at the point of being a true college student. High school is a thing of the past at this point, so we're definitely going to look to you all to live up to all those skills and experiences that you've had to have a great start to the semester, even though it's going to be unusual, it's going to be different, but you have what it takes to ask the good questions and have good experiences with your professors and in those classes, both the in-person as well as the online. So look forward to seeing several of you next week at the book distribution session, and super excited to be kicking off your 5th year here.
So I've got a couple of questions that have come in here via text to myself or up on the chat room. We'll go to Tango. What if we had our books delivered to our house through OCC? I'm not sure what you're referring to. You're saying that books were mailed to you? Not sure
what Jacob might be saying, and Jacob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but students have been getting emails about their books and how they want to get their books or something, and he may have clicked on it and checked it to deliver to his house.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Correct. Students ignore it, but
yeah, I would say ignore that. Ms. Metzgar, is that correct at this point? We don't have to worry about them looking at that and sending it?
I hadn't realized that the PTECH students were getting those emails. To my knowledge, your schedules are bundled together by my own hand and handed to the bookstore, and they're told, pile up all these books in the back and Mr. Heffron's going to pick them up. You shouldn't have paid for your books. You guys are on Box of Books, which means that OCC, City PTECH pays for them.
Yes, just remember that tuition and books are covered at PTECH, so you should never be paying anything out of your pocket unless it's sandwiches and food. So if you paid for a book, you want to get a hold of me so we can talk, okay? You shouldn't be paying for anything, okay, guys? We will reach out to you, Mr. Tangor, okay? All right, I got a question involving study rooms. So there's a question about any idea about study rooms. So I'm on campus. Is there a place that we can quietly go to work on our studies? Or for those of you who have remote learning, is there a place on campus that you can go and find a quiet area to participate in remote learning? Ms. Metzgar, do you want to just address that as well?
Yes, I do, although the chat was making me laugh. There are spaces on campus where PTECH students can go to log on to their remote or their synchronous online classes. The rooms will be marked with big signs, and when you show up on your first day and stop by my office and say hello, I can also tell you where those rooms are. I don't yet know the room numbers, which is why I'm stalling. One of them is Whitney 101, that big lecture hall in the atrium. That's all I know so far. But there are enough of you that there are going to be many rooms set up where you can go be socially distanced and log in your classes. I can tell you those on the first day.
What about the library? I know that those little tiny rooms in the library are used sometimes for people to go and study. Are those going to be available as well? This month, are there areas in the library?
Yeah, the library is open but restricted. So just like every building you've been in the last 5 months, there's big marks that say sit here but don't sit here, and only so many people in the space. Try to adhere to those because they're the rules we're supposed to follow. I don't know with the limited number if they're going to be harder to get. So I can't guarantee they're always available at the times you're on campus. I don't know how many students are going to be physically present.
Yeah. So, so I would say definitely those first couple of days, guys, you want to start scouting around a little bit to kind of know what is available and what's not available, what areas are open to you and which ones are not. Everything is pretty clearly identified. So you'll be able to sort of do a little bit of a search on your own there to figure that out.